Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and you cannot see me, but you can see Blake Skadron. Now, Blake Skadron is the Chief Operating Officer for iTrustCapital. Now, for the last, I guess, month or so, I've had many people that have been asking me to talk about how they can either take a 401k and roll it into an IRA where they can invest in digital assets, as well as possibly physical gold, or just open an IRA and invest in actual digital assets. Well, iTrustCapital is who I used to do just that. And so I decided that it would be a really cool video to do, to create a video where I got with Blake Skadron, who is the Chief Operating Officer. He's the man with the plan. He knows how this is all done, and he does it every day of his life. And so I wanted to have him on here and let him talk to you and talk to me. And by the way, as Blake shows you this information, I'm going to be watching it just as if I am you, and I'm going to ask questions that I think you would like to know the answers to. And then after we do the video, I'll put it up. We'll get some feedback, and who knows, maybe we'll have him on again down the road. So I'm gonna let Blake go to it, and then we'll just kind of ask some questions as I see things that need to come up.
Perfect. DA, thank you so much for having me on, and to everyone watching and listening, I hope this adds some value and answers a lot of questions. And the response so far has been fantastic. So I'm sure with a little more awareness and education, most people will find tremendous value in investing this way, and we're happy to help those who are interested. So I'm going to click off the video here so everybody can see the screen a little bit better. Bear with me. There you go. Okay.
And before you even get started, I want to make sure everybody notices that X right there for XRP. My audience loves XRP. And yes, XRP is one of the digital assets that he's going to talk about how you can invest in one of these IRAs.
Yes. So what we have here, guys, and DAI, feel free to jump in with any questions that come up. Happy to answer them, but we'll kind of go through this and so people get a good feel for the benefits and for what we're doing at iTrustCapital. In our opinion, we believe we've built the smartest way to invest in cryptocurrency for U.S. Citizens. We offer a platform with very easy trades. You can buy and sell 24/7, like you would expect on almost any platform. We've built in secure institutional storage. So unlike buying regularly where you have to move stuff around and hardware devices and private seeds, it's all built in where you just buy and sell, and we're using, and we'll get into a little bit further, but Curve as the wallet provider to store the digital assets. And of course, the big one, because every account with iTrust is an IRA, and we'll get into all the ins and outs of the benefits, but the core here is that there's major tax benefits when investing in IRAs just in general. And so we've leveraged these three key benefits on one platform and made it very simple, affordable, and safe for our clients to invest.
All right. So
most people, this looks probably pretty familiar if you've bought crypto in the past. There's a bit of a process. Exchanges, funding, hardware devices. Obviously, I know it's a little controversial talking about private keys and whatnot. Some people believe that that's, you got to have your keys. Others, I know because I talk to them every day, that can be quite an intimidating element of this whole process. And for new people, new blood, that of course, that's what we all need, is is new people coming in, new funds, new investors, new excitement. And that right there is a bit of a roadblock for a lot of people when you start to explain the complexity of how most people invest and store crypto, right? Then you're moving it from exchange to wallet back to exchange, storing it, security, single points of failure, which is a core issue here. And I think a lot of people will agree that, writing down these seeds, it's a bit scary for a lot of people. And if we want mass adoption, that could be a problem. Right now people do it. I think people do it because, that's the way you do it. But, in the future, if we want millions of people and if we want to have a, multi-trillion-dollar market cap as opposed to a couple of $100 billion, we've got to find better ways to make these investments, make them safe, and make them feel like what people are accustomed to. And so this is one area that we address.
I think that's a good point, because many of the people in my audience, many of us, we use Ledger Nano S's right now because we haven't had any kind of options. But I think that what you're getting at, which is so true, is in order for mass adoption to happen, it's going to happen the same way it happens with a brokerage firm, where you buy a stock and someone's custodying that stock. We're not sitting around wondering whether that stock is being safely kept somewhere, and it'll be the same in this.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and that's one of the cores of the platform. And a Nano S is a great product, not bashing it. It's just the process in general. It's complex, and it scares people. So yeah, that you're with me on that, and the more people I talk to, the more people acknowledge that, yeah, I do it, but it's a stressful piece of this type of
right.
So let's talk a bit about the IRS. Everybody loves talking about taxes and the IRS, and this is what happens when an investment is made outside of an IRA. It applies to cryptocurrency, but it's really no different than stocks or most other investments. So hopefully everyone is doing this properly, although DAI, you and I have talked, and I've talked with many others. This has been a major problem in this industry, and people we're probably a little behind when it comes to doing this perfectly. And I know you have some other solutions available to your audience to help them with this, but when you're making trades outside of an IRA, everything must be tracked by when you bought it, when you sell it, when you swap it. Anything like that needs to be properly tracked. Any gains need to be reported on a yearly basis, and that's going to be applied to capital gains. And there's two variations of capital gains. So short-term capital gains is a position that is not held for at least 1 year, and that's going to be income tax. So no different than it's going to commingle with the remainder of one's income taxes, both at a federal and, if they're in a state with state tax level. So that can be quite steep. We're out here in California, and that can easily reach 50% if you're in one of the higher tax rates. So that's pretty brutal. Now, long-term capital gains a little less painful, but still pretty high. So that's positions held for longer than a year. The max capital gains long-term is 20%. Most people would probably be around the 15%, unless they are a really top earner, higher income. But state tax also applies no different than short-term capital gains where it applies. So you still could be if you're in a higher tax state, 20 to 30% of your gains is probably a reasonable number. So let's talk about iTrust and what we've done. And with our simple to use platform, you can see a shot of it there. That's what it looks like when you have an account. We've made it simple to trade, a la a Coinbase or one of the easier exchanges. You're logged in and you're buying and selling within 3 clicks from a price quote to a final confirmation. Takes only seconds. A key piece here, now we're talking about the storage, is we've partnered with an institutional wallet provider called Curve. Now, Curve caters more to the institutions. They've recently done a deal with Franklin Templeton. I know they work with eToro and many others. They hold the highest security. They have the highest security level equivalent to some of the names like BitGo and Coinbase Custody. And so our clients' assets are going to be stored at the same way that an institution would. So they don't, I would encourage people that they're interested to look a little more into Curve and what they're doing with MPC. There's no private keys. It's broken up signatures, so there's no single points of failure. And they're growing quickly and taking from some of the other custody solutions out.
I wanted to mention here,
so
Curve,
we're very happy with that partnership. Yep.
I just wanted to mention here that Curve is, if I'm correct, they're partially funded by the Digital Currency Group, which my audience is very familiar with.
Yes, they are venture funded by DCG.
Right, and DCG also has an investment in Ripple, and so I just wanted to make sure. I did my own due diligence when I first talked to Blake, and I actually called Curve to make sure that Curve was who Curve says they are and what they did and all that. And so I just wanted to throw that out there because that was important to me.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll share maybe a little bit more with your audience. You called more than just Curve.
Right, yeah. Blake may have been mad at me. I don't know, but I did not just take Blake at his word on all this stuff. I called everybody he mentioned, including his attorney.
Yep. We got an email from our attorney saying somebody's asking us a lot of questions. Is it okay if we talk with them? And we're like, yeah, of course, go ahead. So yeah, which I appreciate. Due diligence is always needed when you're talking about anything in finance, and certainly in crypto with some of the things that have happened in the past. You want to make sure you're dealing with people doing things the right way. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Why do it through an IRA? Well, with iTrust, the key point here is avoiding the IRS, which I think most people would prefer to do. So all the accounts are IRAs, which is an individual retirement account. Within any type of IRA, there are no taxable events. So what that means is, I know some people are holders, some people are traders, some people are swing traders, some people are a little more, more frequent. In an IRA, none of this matters. You can buy and sell every day, gains, losses. None of it needs to be tracked for reporting to the IRS. There are no capital gains on a yearly basis. And in terms of just ease and lack of all that complexities, you can just click buy and sell as you want. You're fine. Now, on the gain side, you're either going to have tax deferred gains, which you can defer for many, many years, and we'll get into that type of an account, or completely tax-free gains where if you do a couple things and wait to a certain time frame, which is 59 and a half, all of your gains within a Roth IRA are 100% tax-free. And yes, this is all legal and has been done for decades.
Right.
So let's get into the details here. So we're going to talk about three primary types of accounts. There's a bunch of other names that get thrown out there for IRAs, but here's the core. The 99% of people are going to go with one of these three, and I hit the key benefits of each. So a traditional IRA is going to work just like an employer's 401k or 403b. You're funding it with pre-tax dollars, right? So if you're rolling over a 401k, you're going to generally roll it over into a traditional, so it keeps that same tax compliance and basis. And then your gains are tax deferred until you start to make withdrawals. You do want to generally wait till you're 59 and a half to avoid any kind of penalties. But once you hit that age, you can take those out. The benefit is you're compounding your gains year over year versus having to peel off that 20, 30, 40% every year to pay the IRS, and then starting off the next year with less. Now, on a Roth IRA, and I know DAI, you've talked. This is the one you went with, and
yes, this is the one I have.
A lot of people prefer this if the situation is right for them. So you're funding a Roth IRA with post-tax dollars. So you're not getting that immediate benefit by the reduction in your income, but once the funds are in there, they're now growing tax-free. So hypothetically, if you make, you put in 5,000 and it get it to 5 million, I'm not saying that happens, but if somehow that does happen, and you wait till you're 59 and a half, couple of rules, 59 and a half, and you have to maintain the account for 5 years, you can literally pull out every single dollar of that account and not owe 1 penny in taxes.
That is huge. Considering this is the first new asset class since the 1600s, that is huge to me. There's no telling.
Now, I don't think too many people would be that upset if they turned 5,000 into 5 million and they had to pay, 30% taxes. You wouldn't enjoy writing that check. But if you didn't have to, it's quite a cherry on top.
That is a monster right there.
Yes. And so finally, we get to the SEP IRA. This is going to be used a lot less. This is for people that are self-employed. They have their own businesses. So it works just like a traditional IRA. The key difference is the contribution limits, which we'll get into in a moment. It can be substantially greater than some of the others if you're just making a new contribution. But that's for people that are self-employed.
While you're here, I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask.
Go for it.
These are the kind of questions I get. Here's one. Do I have to have an existing IRA or a 401k to open an account with you guys?
Great question. No. Obviously you can, and I'll kind of talk about the ins and the outs of that. But you can always fund it with just new money. So whether you have an existing employer plan, an existing IRA, we can work with these accounts. You can also just take money right out of your savings and fund an IRA and get the benefits.
Okay. And here's one more I wanted to throw out. Can I fund my new IRA with my XRP?
Good question. That is the number one question I get asked from everybody, just about everybody. So the answer is no, unless it's already in an existing IRA. Now, we've already had clients move their accounts because there's a few other companies that have been doing something similar to this for a few years. I won't name any names, but we've pulled accounts from just about all of the ones that you would look up online if you were to Google, crypto or Bitcoin IRA or something. So if it's in an existing account, you can do an in-kind transfer, which we've done a bunch. If it's sitting outside, unfortunately, the IRS doesn't allow you to fund it with an IRA with anything other than US dollars. Now, I will say this, some people, it might make sense that if they are in a negative position from when they initially bought, they have, if they were to sell, they would show a loss. It might make sense, and some have done this, to sell the position off, book the loss, because a loss is not a great thing, but it's not a bad thing in this case, because you can have a capital loss and you can push that forward against future capital gains indefinitely. It doesn't have to be just for this year. So that could be a benefit. And obviously they're taking the dollars, funding the new IRA, and immediately buying back the position. Okay. So if it's a Roth, for example, they buy back into the Roth, and now they've got that same position, but now moving forward, it's tax-free. Oh, and they have a loss on the books to go against future capital gains outside of their IRA. So it's just an idea. For some people, it works. Consult your tax advisors with any questions if that's the right move for you.
Okay. I got one more question, then I'm going to leave you alone and let you go with it.
Okay.
Let's say I'm still at my current job.
Yep.
Can I move anything from a 401k or something that I have at a current job to open one of these?
That's another question that comes up a lot. The answer is maybe. So generally speaking, if you're still at an employer and with a 401k, a 403b, a TSB, a 457, any of these types of accounts, usually you're not allowed to move any funds unless you're already over the age of 59 and a half, or if you ever rolled any money into that account from a previous employer, you would have access to roll that same amount into an IRA. On a very rare occasion, there are exceptions, so I always encourage people to call their plan administrator, not the HR person in the office. They're usually not as knowledgeable, but call the plan administrator from the statement. And the key question is, based on my, have them pull up your account, based on my account, am I eligible for an in-service rollover? An in-service rollover is the key term. And what that means is they'll let you move, and usually it's not all of it, but usually it's a portion of it. And then you can do that, roll it over into an IRA without any taxes or penalties. And if you can do that, we can absolutely assist.
Okay. All right. I'm going to leave you alone, Blake, now, and let you go on with this slide thing and see what we can see.
Feel free to hop in there anytime.
Okay.
A couple of quick things just for general references. This IRAs are nothing new. IRAs are new to cryptocurrency because we built a great platform that combines all the right elements. But out of the $27 trillion in U.S. retirement accounts in this country, $9 trillion are already sitting in these types of IRAs, obviously all variety of investments. Another $8 trillion approximately are in 401ks and 403bs and these other employer plans, many of which are eligible for rollover. Let me touch on one other thing, DA, on the employer plan, because you said if you're still working there, the answer is the maybe. If you leave the job for any reason, the answer is 100% you can always roll over those accounts without issues. So
right, and typically they'll force you to liquidate the account where it is, and then you roll it. Is that how that works?
Yeah, you're going to want to move, and even if you do like an IRA to an IRA, which we do a ton of. Unless it's in cryptocurrency, we can do an in-kind transfer. What happens, and we help with this whole process, is you would liquidate the investments into a cash USD position, and the funds move over as USD. And then the same in a 401k. You got to move it.
And one thing I wanted to make sure that's understood, because I think I've had this conversation with you before, is that if I have $100,000 in a 401k from my current job and they lay me off, I could roll 50,000 of that to somewhere else and 50,000 of it to you. It's not an all or nothing type thing.
Yeah, some plans will force you to roll the whole thing. So an employer plan is quite a bit more restrictive than an IRA. So they all have their own rules. So they might say, no, you need to roll over the whole 100,000 into an IRA, and that's fine. But once it's in an IRA, you can do partial transfers unlimited. So if you move 100,000 over to us or to somebody else, and then you want to move another, cut that in half and move 50 over to Fidelity or somewhere, no problem at all.
Okay.
Yeah, you're never locked into just one place with the IRA. The other nice thing is you're not, when you have an IRA with us or with anyone, you're not locked into that investment forever. You don't have to hold that investment until you're 59 and a half. You can buy and sell inside the account, no issues. You can move it to another custodian at any time for any reason you choose and never cause any penalties or taxable events.
Right. Okay. All right. That's fascinating. All right.
So let's jump into some of our, another one of our partners here is Sunwest Trust. A big question we get asked, if anything happens to you guys, how, what's going on with my money? So iTrustCapital never actually holds our clients' money. Funds never go from a custodian to us. If you recall DAI, you didn't send your initial investment dollars to iTrust, you sent it directly to Sunwest Trust. They've been in business for decades. They have thousands of clients. They're a trust chartered custodian, and their job is to maintain proper custody of assets, whether it's a cryptocurrency or gold or dollars itself sitting in the bank. So your funds are always protected under those custody rules. we're facilitators, and we built the software to manage the trade settlement and the flow behind the scenes, and of course the front end for the users to easily be able to make these investments. Which I kind of jumped ahead of myself a little bit because that's what this slide talks about. So you can see there on the one side, the client interface, very easy to use. You're clicking buy, sell, you're done within seconds. On the back end, our software connects the custodian, Sunwest Trust, the liquidity providers. We're right now go through an aggregator who they go through several exchanges, but we'll be adding more liquidity as time goes on to make sure that we always have proper liquidity for our clients and be able to offer more assets. And then, of course, the secured storage being the Curve wallets. Another piece that I think people find very assuring is because our system and because of the rules of an IRA, and the key rule of an IRA is that you cannot maintain or possess your investment. If you're holding your investment in your possession, it's no longer an IRA. That's considered a distribution. And I know some people. This is a controversial topic. There's some debate going on. I won't get into that. I'll let the tax attorneys handle it. But with our product, we believe that is true. And so it's a closed ecosystem. The exchanges are whitelist. There's added security. My point is that always with any platform or any account, the most vulnerable position for a hack is always the end user, meaning, we have two-factor, we have normal, the standard security protocols that you would expect. But if somebody were to get hacked in their own device, somebody gets their password and is able to get in there, because there's no ability from the end users to send crypto, receive crypto, send money from their platform, there is no ability to steal in this scenario, meaning somebody gets into your account, the absolute worst thing that they could ever do is just place unauthorized trades, but they cannot take it. To remove things from the platform, whether it's cash or crypto, everything has to go through the flow of the custodian with transfer forms, and there's proper checks going on. So this kind of byproduct of compliance for IRAs has actually created another security measure. And the feedback has been, wow, that's actually really great. I like that. It makes people feel much more comfortable.
Okay.
So talking a little bit about some of the competition, again, without naming names, but a few other companies out there that have been doing this for years. Some of the key things here is obviously the cost has been quite high that we were able to drastically affect. It has been the standard until we've come along to charge 10 to 15% up front on these types of transactions. I've talked to many people, many who have signed up with us, who have already done their research on other companies in the past. And as soon as they were quoted these types of numbers, that was it for them. They were done.
In fact, it's funny you say that, because I was speaking to my father asked me that exact question. He was telling me about a specific person, and he said they want to open one of these, and they were looking at another company, and he said the fees are unbelievable. And so he said, do you know of any places? And I told him about you guys. And I think the guy went and actually opened an account, but it was a no-brainer once he heard that.
Yeah, and I've had people who already had accounts there. I mean, people still did it because they're passionate and they believe in it, and they had, they wanted to get some of their IRA funds into these assets, and they've either since moved their account to us or opened up a new account with us. I mean, once people find out about us, it's not much of a competition. For those that aren't familiar, we're going to touch on our fees in a moment. But so this is kind of a generality. It can vary from company to company, but about 10 to 15% up front has been the standard of the entire account, by the way, on an average of 5 to 7 basis points for storage of crypto, on top of about a $240 per year account fee. Every other company in the space that offers, the quote turnkey solution, you're talking to a commission salesperson who gets paid based on the amount of money one moves over and transacts. So that's something that, maybe isn't always the best when making financial decisions. High transaction limits. So, it has not been uncommon. I know one of our main competitors, the lowest just single transaction you can do is $3,000. Ours lowest is approximately $30. And then other than one company that also has a platform that allows you to manage it yourself, every other company in the space, you have to call in during regular business hours to transact and speak to these live people, which obviously in a market that's open 24/7, 365, that's, not really a great deal. Plus, in a world that's 2020 with technology, to be calling into a broker essentially to make a trade is going backwards several decades at least, in my opinion.
Okay.
So what does iTrust do? So we wanted to make this easy. Again, our mantra has been make it easy, make it affordable, and make it safe. So we wanted to make the fee structure very clean, where we're not tracking values every single month, and that's what you're going to pay. So it's a flat $29.95 per month for any account size. And that includes all the costs that go to Sunwest Trust, because they do need to maintain the account, do the proper reporting, excuse me, at the end of the year. And then our trades are all done at 1%, again, regardless of the amount of the trade. One thing to keep in mind that for those who may not know exactly how transactions work, there's always going to be a bid and an ask spread, if you will, from the liquidity providers. And then we make a 1% on top of that. And this is true of just about anyone. We've been watching what actually the price that gets settled. And when we compare ourselves to like a Coinbase, not Coinbase Pro, but the standard Coinbase, we are actually right in line. And in fact, most of the time, a little bit less, just to give people some reference points of how the pricing works. A couple of highlights. We, again, no commission salespeople. We have staff to assist, but nobody is, paying their, their Porsche payment based on how much money somebody does. We simply want to assist. Access to 24/7 trading at all times. You can lock in trades, any time of the day. We do have the support staff. No minimum account size to start, so anyone can get started. It might not, at a certain point, it probably doesn't make sense, but if you don't have a reasonable amount, because there are some fees involved. Approximately a $30 minimum trade. It does vary a little bit from asset to asset. And unlimited storage with Curve. And that's a huge one because, even if somebody's starting with a smaller account, we all know where these markets can go and the values that we may see sooner than later. And if you're paying your fees based on the amount of your account, well, then it's going to keep going up. Whereas with the platform, it'll be the same.
Right.
And I guess I am going to name one name because we have this in our slide. I think you've shown this. So we did.
Yeah, I've shown this. It's okay.
We've done some just some basic side-by-side comparison to Bitcoin IRA, who probably up until is the largest in the space, and taking a look at their fee schedule that we we have. You can find it on their site if you dig deep enough. And just looking at a side-by-side, if you have a $10,000 account, we are, they end up being about 4 times the total price after one full year of trading fees and storage, etc. On a $100,000 transaction, it's about an 8x difference. So you can see the numbers there are quite daunting. Now, that's just for people who buy and hold and never do any kind of swing trades or anything. For those that are even somewhat active, a couple trades a year, prices spike and you want to pull some profits out, not unreasonable. But when you buy back in on their platform, they have another 5% to rebuy. So we didn't do those calculations because they get pretty out of hand, but this was a good enough illustration.
Okay.
All righty. And again, our platform there and a simple interface. Want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to participate. and so far it's been great, you know. And the key
Okay.
takeaway is just, again, I'm going to repeat myself again. I hope it's not too much, but make it easy, make it affordable, and make it safe.
And Blake, I think I'm assuming this is kind of the wrap up of this is your last slide. I wanted to first, thank you for doing this video with me. I think that this is going to be a real eye opener for my audience. And the other thing is, I wanted to make sure that you had your opportunity. I know I do it at the end of every video. I tell them that I'm the digital asset investor and I'm not an investment advisor, that this is for entertainment purposes only. If you have any disclaimers that you need to give, you go ahead.
Yeah, I have to be very cautious. We are not financial advisors, as you aren't. We are not, and kind of bring up a good point, is because we do get asked for advice, and we have to really refrain. We are facilitators. We can answer any questions about options and based on age and situations. Well, here's what type of an account you can do. Here's how you can do it. But in terms of what should I buy, how much should I do, should I do a Roth conversion? I can't. Yeah, we don't answer those questions.
Right.
Either we just can't. But we're here to help and guide people on the right path, and then they make the decision that's best for them.
Okay. Well, I'm going to end it there, and then if anybody that's listening, if you have any further questions or anything, Blake is always willing to come back on and answer a laundry list of questions, or who knows, maybe on the road we'll even do a live stream or something. I don't specialize in live streams, but we can certainly do it if we need to. Well, Blake, I appreciate it, and I'm going to end it right here.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, anyone with any questions or interest, go to our site, check it out. You can schedule a call. I try to get on as many of the calls as I can personally and assist to help people, if this is the right move for them.
All right, Blake, thanks a lot.
Thanks, DAI.
Hey, everybody, if you just listened to the iTrustCapital.com interview with Blake Skadron, then you need to be aware that in the description of all of my videos, you'll find this. Everyone in the audience can take advantage of this. If you end up opening an account with iTrustCapital with my coupon code here, DAI1M free, you're going to get 1 month free when you open an account. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And there's also a link that will take you to that as well. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family they too can get 1 month free if they end up opening an iTrustCapital account. Thanks for listening.